Hi, and welcome to this episode of John's Model Kit Review. In today's fun model kit review video, we'll be looking at the 1/48 scale Dora Wings Republic P-43 Lancer. This kit was originally released in 2020, so it is a fairly new kit, and it is currently available on several online sites for between $40 and $55. This is Dora Wings kit number DW48029. In this video, I'll give a little bit of the history of the P-43 Lancer. We'll go through the kit instructions, and we'll talk about any problem areas to watch out for during the construction phase of the build. We'll look at the detailing on the small parts that make up the landing gear and the engine and the interior of the kit. We'll look at the exterior surface detailing, and we'll talk about the fit of the major parts of the kit. We'll take a look at the clear parts, and we'll talk about the fit and the clarity of those. We'll also look at the marking options that are included in the kit, and we'll talk about the quality of the decals themselves. And finally, I'll give my conclusions at the end, and I'll give my recommendations on what skill levels this model is appropriate for. If you like in-depth model kit reviews and model building technique videos, please consider becoming a member. Depending on the level of membership, members get perks like early access to new videos, bonus content, etc. Your support is very much appreciated, and it will help me to continue to make great model making content on this channel. Looking at the history of the Republic P-43 Lancer, the P-43 was a development of the earlier P-35 aircraft that was designed by Seversky Aircraft Corporation. In 1939, Seversky changed its name to Republic. The P-43 was the direct evolutionary link between the earlier P-35 aircraft and the later, much more successful P-47. While not a particularly outstanding fighter, the P-43 had very good high-altitude performance, coupled with an effective oxygen system. It was fast, it was well armed with 4 50 caliber machine guns, 2 located in the wings and 2 in the engine cowl. It also had excellent long-range capabilities, and until the arrival of the Lockheed P-38 Lightning, the Lancer was the only American fighter capable of catching a Japanese Mitsubishi Ki-46 Dyna reconnaissance plane at the speed and heights at which they flew. In addition, the P-43 flew many long-range, high-altitude photo recon missions until it was replaced by the F-4 and F-5 Lightnings in both the U.S. Army Air Force and the Royal Australian Air Force. Many P-43s were also supplied to the Republic of China Air Force. The P-43 was powered by a Pratt & Whitney R1830-49 14-cylinder air-cooled radial engine. This engine featured a large turbo supercharger mounted underneath the fuselage of the aircraft, and it was rated at 1,200 horsepower. This gave the P-43 a top speed of 356 miles an hour at 20,000 feet. So it had much better high-altitude performance than the P-40 did. One feature of the P-43 Lancer that was both a plus and a minus was its wet wing. The wings held much of the fuel for the aircraft. This gave it a very long range, but the fuel tanks were not the self-sealing type. This rendered the P-43 susceptible to battle damage, and the wing tanks were constantly leaking in service. Looking at what comes in the box, there are 6 sprues of gray plastic parts. There is also a sprue of clear parts, a fret of photo etch metal parts, a set of canopy masks, and a nice decal sheet. This kit comes with markings for 4 different P-43s. Going through the kit instructions, in steps 1 through 3, we are starting to construct the interior of the aircraft. This starts off with the instrument panel. Dora Wings provides this in photo etch and a decal. It also provides the instrument panel in plastic if you wanted to use that part. In step 3, we're adding sidewall detail to part number F18, and we can see right off the bat there are lots of small parts on this kit. This is a plus for you guys that like detail, but it can be a detractor for those who don't like all the fiddly little parts. In steps 4 through 6, we are continuing with the sidewall construction. Then we're attaching the rear bulkhead and seat to the floor of the aircraft. Thankfully, seatbelts are included on the photo etch fret. However, they are not pre-painted, so you'll need to paint the seatbelts on this one. In step 7, we are building what I anticipate is going to be a little bit of a tricky step of this kit, and that is the forward firewall and the engine mounts for the kit. The detail on these is incredibly fine, but all of these parts will need to be carefully cleaned up and very carefully aligned in order to get a proper alignment of the engine on the finished kit. In steps 8 and 9, we're attaching the machine guns to the back of the engine firewall, and we're starting to construct the tail wheel bay. In steps 10 through 12, we're building the turbo supercharger. We're also building the ducting for that goes underneath the belly of the aircraft, and we're assembling the wheels themselves. The detail on these parts looks excellent, but as you can see in this photo, there is quite a bit of flash on some of these parts, and all of the small parts in this kit will require a little bit of cleanup if you want to get a nice fitting assembly. In steps 13 through 15, we are building the main landing gear legs. Again, the detail on these parts looks excellent. However, these parts are delicate, and you'll need to clean up minor flash on most of the parts. In steps 16 and 17, we're starting construction of the engine itself. Once again, we have excellent detail on these parts, and we also have lots of small parts. So the steps in which we're constructing the engine are going to take a lot of care. I anticipate it's going to be almost impossible to remove all of these small parts from the frets without breaking some of them. In steps 18 and 19, engine construction continues. In step 19, we are constructing the engine cowl around the engine itself. This continues on in step 20, and that brings us to another challenging aspect of this build, and that is that the cowl flaps, and those are parts 12 and 13, are only provided in photo etched metal. I think it's going to be somewhat difficult to bend these into shape so they match up perfectly with the curvature of the engine cowling. I've looked up pictures of the finished build of this kit, and in most of them, these engine flaps don't look quite right to my eye. In step 21, we're simply assembling the prop of the aircraft. In step 22, we are enclosing the interior of the aircraft between the fuselage halves. One thing to note is that there are no locating pins for the major parts on this kit, so you want to take your time and dry fit these parts carefully before committing to glue. In step 23, we are building the wing assembly. We're attaching the wheel wells. Those are parts E18 and E19 to the lower wing, and then we're attaching the upper wings to the lower wing. Looking at the fit, if you take your time and you dry fit these parts very carefully, I think you'll be able to get a fairly precise fit between the upper and lower wing halves. In step 24, we are attaching the fuselage assembly to the wing assembly. We're also attaching the ailerons to the aircraft and the rearmost cockpit window. In step 25, we're attaching the engine and cowl assembly to the front of the aircraft. We're also attaching the remainder of the clear parts, as well as the elevators and rudder to the kit. Looking at the clear parts themselves, these look to be a little bit on the thick side, but they seem like they'll look pretty decent on the finished kit. They have nicely defined framing, and with careful dry fitting, these should fit the fuselage fairly well. In step 26, we're adding the turbo supercharger and the plumbing to the underside of the aircraft. We're also adding the prop. And in step 27, we're attaching the landing gear to the aircraft and the gear doors as well. This is another step where you really want to take your time and make sure that you have the alignment of the landing gear correct. Due to the complexity of the landing gear and all of the small parts that are attached, I anticipate this step taking a little bit of time. There are 4 marking options included with this kit. The first one is for a P-43 in natural metal. The next 3 marking options are for P-43s in the olive drab over neutral gray color schemes. All of the marking options are for P-43s operated by the U.S. Army Air Force. Looking at the surface detail on the exterior of the kit, it is represented by very finely engraved panel lines. The detail that is there looks to be restrained. There's not an excess of rivet detail, and I think this should look good on the finished kit. Looking at the fit of the major parts, in test fitting some of the major parts together, I was able to get a very good fit between the major parts. Again, there are no locator pins to align the parts to one another, so careful dry fitting and careful gluing and clamping will be the order of the day during construction. In summary, the Dora Wings P-43 Lancer is a very nice kit. It's what I would consider to be a modern-day short-run kit. It provides a very high level of detail and lots of small parts, and in turn that will require extra time in the construction phase of this build. Because of the high number of very small parts and the more complicated construction on this kit, I can recommend this for experienced modelers who are looking to put something a little bit different on the shelf. Well, I'd love to know what you guys think. If there are any Dora Wings fans out there or P-43 fans out there, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and until next time, model on.